asked me a question that what impact will AI have in India, I used to say we are waiting and watching, right? But today, just in 6 months, it's pretty clear that AI will go everywhere. Every product, every application, it will go everywhere. And we are seeing it. The number of startups we're seeing in AI right now to invest in, every second or third startup is either an AI startup or has got AI deeply embedded in the offering. If I look at Naukri, if I look at InfoEdge, we've got a team of 100 people working on AI, analytics, data sciences. And in the last 2 years, we have churned out about 22 products and new features based on AI. So AI will be helping existing companies do their work better. It will be new companies based totally on AI, and new concepts and businesses coming up. So we've invested, for example, in a company called Gyani, which is like a call center in a box. It's a robo-voice bots using AI, and their clients are financial service companies for selling loans and for collecting money. And it's all robocalls.
Just tell me one thing when you said fascinating. When you're saying it's a robo means it's no people. It's just one box from a one room
it's place? A software. It's a software.
It's just a software?
Yeah. No people.
That's interesting.
So, so we tried it out, and I could not make out I was not talking to a human being. And they're doing all languages, vernacular, Indian, the right accent. They're having conversations. It's not press one to do this and do. It's not IVR. It's have a conversation, and you can't make out it's. And in fact, they asked me for introduction to Policy Bazaar, saying,
Sarabvir, if I ask the same question to you, what are you seeing in the industry, and are you doing something in your company?
So I think we are kind of one step below. Sanjeev is an investor in lots of companies apart from obviously their business. We are using AI to improve our business and improve our customer experience. So if you look at our business today, we use AI starting from the perspective of when a person comes to our website, when they interact with the website, what are they looking for, when they talk to our agents, as Sanjeev, obviously painted a picture where perhaps we won't need human agents, but right now we have humans. So what we are doing is that we are using AI to improve the effectiveness of the humans, whether it's in terms of understanding what the customer is saying, whether it's in terms of once they have spoken to us, being able to transcribe what they have said and to suggest what next to do with them, whether it is to measure risk. So we are in the insurance business. Risk is a very important part. So we try to optimize for risk. And finally, to improve our own cost efficiencies. So I think in the last, I would say 1.5 years, see, AI has actually been around since the 60s. But I think in the last 3 years or 2 years, because of ChatGPT, the focus on generational AI has become very, very big. And I think that is leading to a whole bunch of applications. And we are all, hopefully, we are at the forefront of all that, at least as far as insurance is concerned, because that's a huge opportunity for us as we go forward.
Sanjeev, as he discussed ChatGPT, so Microsoft invested OpenAI, ChatGPT, you have Google Bard, and you have Llama of Meta, and you have the others. All these they're making investments, setting up their own LLM, all the initial platforms. Because of they're all doing that, do you think that specific applications which will come on above them, will that by them doing investing in there, will that accentuate the use of AI or percolate the AI down to common people of us to see easily?
Yes, absolutely. So actually, see, if you go back in a little bit of history, so at InfoEdge, we've been working on AI stuff since about 2008 or 9, right? But you have traditional AI, which is rule-based stuff, and you have generative AI, which is where you can create new content, right? This is new, okay? And what we are now seeing the excitement around is, generative AI. And you mentioned, Llama, you mentioned, ChatGPT, others. Now, those kind of foundational models are hard to do. They're expensive to do. the kind of compute power you need, the number of, the engineers, the quality of engineers you need, the money you need. I don't think too many people in India are capable of doing that. Sarkar kar sakti hai, one or two large industry groups can do it, but not a lot of people do that.
I agree.
But what is happening in India, and when we're seeing a lot of stuff, that people are doing vertical apps built on LLMs.
Based on LLMs.
Okay, and those vertical apps, they're building a moat, they're building a competence in that area, they're building a business. Okay, and we're seeing a lot of that. And I think what we have in India is a lot of data, because 1.4 billion people and billion smartphones will create a lot of data. So India's got data, India's got people, India's got use cases, India's got vernacular languages. Right? You can do a lot of stuff around AI, but we are less likely as a country to do foundational LLMs. That is less likely.
Yeah, unlikely. I quite agree with that. Requires a lot of investments.
Yeah.
But do you think by making these specific apps, because at the end of the day, these will be all apps, specific apps, some could be to the insurance industry, could be healthcare, which is there, everybody else is doing it. Are we in what stage are we in making these apps? Are we in the first few years? Will it take 3 years, 5 years? Or as some people say, this is a decade of AI, then, where are we in the middle?
So I have been personally surprised by the speed at which this thing is happening. Like I told you, 6 months ago, I was saying wait and watch. Right now, I'm saying it's happening right now. So a large number of startups are emerging, doing stuff in AI. And, we, in our VC fund, we are saying, listen, why aren't we doing more AI companies?
So, Sarabvir, one I can understand with this AI and your use of, because there's so much of data available, as you saw, that the customer interface, and it just becomes better. And so that's definitely this thing which can be done. Is there any other thing beyond, is there something else which can accentuate your industry, or which makes insurance accessible to all? Or is there a chance of accentuating or the advantage of insurance and all that and making it explode 10 times, 100 times?
Sure. I think we are at a point, if I were to just address the previous question that you asked. See, we are at an early stage. I mean, in a way, the iPhone has been invented and, there's a bit of a platform. Now the apps are emerging. Now there will be apps like, let's say, a Facebook, which will be completely, new to the world and will change the whole thing completely. There will be smaller ones like Candy Crush, which will come and go. And then there will be some which will be absorbed by the platforms themselves. So some work. So I think as we look at insurance, we feel that the opportunity is to do sort of work on groundbreaking sense, which means that, let's say, today if I have to have a person speaking in a native language, I need to have those many people, right, who have that capability. Whereas why can't I now present, maybe in some of these cases, some of these robo-agents, who can at least maybe not take on the full task. Right? We still believe that AI will need a human element. Maybe it's our hope, but we believe that humans will be required. And so we like to call it AI with a human in the loop. Right? So we think that what the AI can do is help us, the robo-agent can help have the initial conversation in the language that the customer wants, and then pass it on to a right person. Then, that allows us to handle a much larger number of people. So I think the opportunities will be to do things which are not possible today. Because right now we are doing things that we already doing a little bit better. But I think the real breakthrough will come when we are able to do things that are not possible, which is maybe serve people in, let's say, 100 languages, maybe serve them when they want it to be. So today, I'm open only up to a certain point. Maybe now somebody wakes up at 2 in the morning, they can do it. So I think we have to increase the surface area of insurance for us to really make it groundbreaking. And I really think that those use cases are emerging. It's going to take some time, but I think they are emerging. And I sure hope that Policy Bazaar is at the forefront of all of that.
No, that's great. I mean, so that is, because it can and has the power to metamorphosize the industry or everything else, to touch every aspect of your life. And, of course, right now we haven't seen those products come out, as you're saying, but we've seen the starting of the testing. In a way.
And I'll just give you another example. See, in insurance, the biggest challenge is the claim, right? So people are confused as to how they should make a claim. How should they go through that process? Whereas now with this, if I were able to again put out a really good robo advisor or again with a human, I can actually guide them through the whole process. rather than having to wait for agents, having to wait for somebody to come in between. And as we know, minute there's somebody in between, various things happen. So I think the potential is huge. We have to make it happen.
No, that's a big thing, because if that's one, this thing with the say claims take a long time,
Absolutely.
Cannot be, and you've seen your ads and other ads saying how do you make claims get better and faster, and you'll be there. This can really be a game changer there.
Sure.
Sanjeev, what are you seeing in every way in the entire industry, if you look at it? I'm saying, just so insurance particular to him, but...
No, what we are saying is that, listen, you have very young people coming, okay, and they're thinking of new solutions because they're not constrained by legacy. They're not constrained by, hey, this is how a call center should work, or this is how this process should work, or this is what should be done or not done, right? And some of the stuff they're building is quite interesting. So think of a situation where Naukri gets 25,000 resumes a day. We've got 103 million resumes. Think of a situation where you can conduct a mock interview, or job training. Somebody looks at I'm looking for this kind of job in this kind of company. This is my CV. You can conduct an interview, and you can give feedback. It's not there yet, but I expect it to be there in a year or two.
That's fast.
And this is a service that does not exist. So this is not displacing people, but this is actually training people to think through a CV, the projects, the job they're looking for, and become better at giving answers.
We've heard and read and saying that one of the biggest advantages could be the advantage to the healthcare, or making medical accessible to the poor and the villages, in the form because of, basic things could be there and the doc can really see it in time. Where do you think we are on that? Because that's something which could really change.
Yeah, so I think, now healthcare is a tricky one because you do need expert,
I know, but roughly...
There will need to be a human in the loop. There will need to be a doctor who's ratifying any advice being given or any prescription. I don't think we are ready, or maybe AI is not there yet, to just dispense medical advice without a qualified doctor looking at it. But you can certainly massively improve productivity. Right? You can, instead of one doctor seeing, so my father was a doctor and in the government, and, he used to be in Ramanolo Hospital, and on his OPD days, he'd see about 60 patients in a day. Right? Large numbers, government hospital, large numbers. Right? Maybe he can see 300.
Could be, you're right. And there's so much data available, as you're saying, it could increase productivity.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, digitalization of data and sorting the data and making it available could help with final diagnosis too.
But we have seen in the past companies that will interpret an X-ray and MRI scan because they've got a large database back there, and this means that. But even so, a radiologist or an X-ray technician would have to sign off.
Yeah, that is a must, because naturally human lives are involved. What are you seeing now as far as digital now? If you move away from the AI to real digital and the internet, what's keeping you busy? What's your next jewel that you're finding out besides Zomato and the others and all those? Now, where are you in that phase, or do you see any other opportunities come out in this area?
So look, we don't do it top down. We don't identify a sector and say, yahan pe dekho, yahan pe dekho. We do it bottom up. We see about 1,000 companies a quarter. We have 1,000. I mean, we don't meet 1,000.
No,
we
but
see
1,000 ideas.
We look at them, right? We invest in maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4 in a quarter. So the filter is pretty, we filter a lot, right? But we do it bottom up. I mean, if somebody had told us in 2008, I think you should look at the insurance comparison sector. The sector didn't exist. There was no company. We would never have invested in Policy Bazaar, right? Likewise, in 2010, Zomato, if you told us, why don't you look at the restaurant listing sector? There was no sector. So when you're investing in category-creating companies, right, you're investing behind first movers. The industry does not exist. The sector does not exist. Sector does not exist. So you go and you just see what's bubbling up, who's doing what. If you're doing interesting stuff, team looks good, then you might go behind them. And we don't worry a lot about market size at that stage. Because you're creating a new category market, agar company kamyab hui, market ban jayega. Right? I mean, Naukri was not meant to be a large company when we first started. In fact, we got rejected by a venture capitalist first up. saying, so we're raising our first round, and this is venture capitalists who asked us that, so what's the total size of the appointment ad market in print? And I said, I don't know, maybe 400 crores. It's okay. What's the price difference between a job listing on Naukri and an ad in print? And I said, 1:1,000. He says, if you get 100% share, you will shrink the market to 40 lakhs. So I'm not interested in investing. And he walked away. So we don't look, it's okay to invest in a company which looks like the market size is small, because that company will create the market. In Policy Bazaar, there was no insurance comparison, not a practice. We don't know what the market will be.
Correct.
But we said, there's something here, let's invest and see what happens.
That's very interesting. And Sarabvir, what are you? Are you looking at, I'm saying you're a listed company, so I can't ask you any forward-looking statements, or I can't ask you acquisitions, or I can't ask you. But where are you seeing, how are you seeing this insurance industry pan out? And are you seeing, with the various, you've seen the mutual fund industry, as they were talking about, grow exponentially. Is that happening with insurance becoming more and more people getting insured?
Yeah, see, India has two broad challenges, right? One is that we have a large and growing middle class, and the way our economic structure is that they don't have social security, or we can't afford social security at this stage for the middle class. The government has to look after the poorer sections. So I think as this middle class grows, they need to protect themselves from, what we call death, disease, and disability. And these are realities of life. So if you think about it, that's what insurance is all about, that a large number of people contribute a small amount of money, and something happens to a person and that person gets paid out, right? So I think insurance is perfectly suited to the Indian context. I think it's something that is required for the country to grow and for us to achieve the ambitions, etc., that we have. So I think in that sense, we are very lucky that we are in a sector which will and should continue to grow quite well. I think the second big trend in the country is what we are talking about, which is digital India and digitization. And I think that is again another thing that we are sitting on top of. So I think we have these two broad trends. So we try to stay very focused on these two things. And we are trying to deepen our horizons. So like you spoke about healthcare, we are now looking at, healthcare as a enabler for our business. To say that yes, in insurance, claims is a moment of truth. How can we have a smoother claims experience, and can we do something from that perspective? So I think we see our core business having huge growth, huge runway for growth, and we are trying to do things which will unlock that growth and make sure that customers, get a good experience. So I think, as we all, I think in this room would like to believe that India will do extremely well in the decades ahead. So I think our industry will also do very well. But we just have to make sure that we serve customers well, because in the end, customers will buy things that they are satisfied with. And that's really our focus, I would say.
Sanjeev, one last question, that you run companies and you've made very successful investments. When you said you look at it, you don't look at everything, you look bottoms up. Are there any top 2 or 3 criteria which make things stand out?
I think the first thing we look at, the first question we want to answer is, will the customer want this? Is there any evidence? Is there any hook? Is there any logic? What do you think? Will the customer want this? In the case of Policy Bazaar, I met Yashish, and now there's no PowerPoint even, there's no product, nothing. This is a conversation. And he said, I'm willing to bet that you are paying 60% more for your car insurance than you need to. And I said, don't be daft. I've bought a standard car from a good dealer. It's a public sector insurance policy I bought. The dealer sold it to me, impossible. And he says, okay, take out your car papers. So they were there with me in the office, and I took them out. And he said, okay, fine. He took the car model, the year, all of that. Mileage, roughly, he asked me. And in half an hour, he came back with 6 quotes. And sure enough, the lowest quote was about 40% lower than what I was paying. Okay, and I said, what is this? He said, Dekho, different insurers price the same risk differently. And therefore, you're not sure you're buying the cheapest policy ever. So price comparison is important. And that's what we want to do. We want to build a price comparison engine. So compare before you buy insurance. Now, this is one demo. And it was clear to me the customer would want this. Because if the price variation is so large in a country like India.
You saw that yourself. You saw the proof of the pudding.
Yeah, likewise in Zomato, we were using it and we liked it. And the differentiator was it was the only restaurant listing site with all the menu cards. Right? And I asked Dipin, ye idea kahan se aaya to get the menu cards? And he said, I used to work in Bain Consulting and in Gurgaon, and working hours were long, and you'd end up eating 2 meals in the office, and often at a cafeteria which would not serve food. But they had got a file folder of menu cards of all the restaurants that deliver there. But 1 baje, there'd be a big line to access that file. So one weekend I came and I scanned all the menu cards and uploaded them on my personal page on the office intranet, and within 3 days, 95% of the internal office traffic was going to my page. So market had given me a signal.
You can see the change. So that's the big thing. That you see that idea as a need.
The first thing is, will the customer want? Yeah. Second is quality of team.
Right. The management.
Yeah. Okay. And then the 5-6 other criteria.
Sarabvir, as he said about the policy thing, which did, any words of advice for what policy, what does it do to reduce this thing? Not that this session was on digital, but I'd say if you're going to end with anything else or any policy advice that you feel like that was the thing which is happening, or what's the next policy that you're bringing out?
No, I think the first thing I would suggest is that everyone should have health insurance and term insurance. Unfortunately, while a lot of us know about it, we, especially looking at some of the younger people in this audience, they may not think that they need it. But I think all of us need it. So I would first say that buy insurance, buy the right kind of health and term insurance. Second thing I would say is that once you have made up that decision, look at the different types of policies, make sure you understand the terms and conditions so that you are not surprised at the other end. And then I think I would just say that India has great products, actually. If you look at the insurance products in India are actually very, very good as compared to global sort of benchmarks. So I would not hesitate too much. And like I said, the first decision is buy, rather than worrying too much about which one to buy. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Imagine the conflict, the dharma sankata of a prime minister. He wants to give vaccination to our people at the earliest. The process of getting our own vaccines ready is taking a bit more time. In the meanwhile, the temptation is that we can get the vaccines from outside, but it came with so many conditions. Were you ready to compromise on those conditions and get them? It's a different story that those vaccinations and their human fitness, as they say, are being questioned now. I'm not talking with the benefit of that doubt which is there. I'm not talking from that, advantage of a future looking back at the past.